This new information, what do you think should happen to the mask mandate in Maricopa County? Keep it, ease it, or end it altogether? Let us know right now at 12news.com/bullhorn. You could see Keep It is the leader at this point in time. We're going on 3 months now and counting since the mandate went into place in June. And at the time, cases in Arizona were surging to the point where our state positivity rate was right around 20% at that point, meaning 20% of the state's coronavirus tests were coming back with positive results. Now, since the mask mandate, the positivity rate has fallen down to about 6% overall. So clearly, it's working, and experts there are hoping to get that positivity rate to 5% or below. Meanwhile, individual cities and towns which have imposed mask mandates are also deciding what to do with them. Gilbert, for instance, decided to let their mask mandate expire. However, the town still technically covered under the mandate imposed by Maricopa County. Anybody confused yet? Yeah, this is getting complicated. So before things get even more complicated, we're asking, what do you think should happen to the county's mask mandate? That way, the individual cities and towns wouldn't really have to make those decisions. Right now on Facebook, Kathy, she's jumping in. She says that she thinks it's up to the person wearing them. They should have rights also. And Carolyn says, keep it in place. It has helped our numbers go down. Teresa says, end it. So a lot of different opinions on here, but right now it seems like the overall majority of you at 74%, 3/4 about, saying that you should keep it in place. If you have a different opinion, feel free to go ahead and sway what you're seeing at the bottom of the screen. You just go to 12news.com/bullhorn to do so. Or if you want to wait to find out what the newest information is, you can check it out right now on the 12 News app. It's free in your Apple App Store.